So I hope all of us know the agenda for today's meeting. It's knowing the purpose. So knowing the purpose helps us find out the true passion, and this true passion becomes very important driving force for us to achieve something very great and extraordinary in any field. So be it our childhood dream or be it getting into this MBA course, we always had a purpose, and that purpose actually pushed us into doing good in our field. So all of us are into Toastmasters now. So how many of you have a clear idea of understanding what's your purpose? I think most of us do not have it. So working it without purpose doesn't serve anything for us. So today we'll have a very informative session of clearly knowing what is the purpose of being into Toastmasters. So we have Animesh and Divesh Toastmasters for us today to guide us in this aspect. So very good morning, one and all. The fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm Vaishnavi, and today I'm going to be the sergeant at arms for the meeting. So I welcome you all to the episode 4, that is Golden Ticket series, which is knowing the purpose. So I hope all of you are sitting in a peaceful place with a decent internet connectivity. So being a SAR, it's my responsibility to read out the guidelines and the rules for the meeting. So yeah, there are few rules which all of us should follow during this meeting. So the first one is that speakers should refrain themselves from talking about sex, religion, and politics, anything related to these 3 things. And then when the speaker is giving his speech, the host is going to mute everybody else. The members are requested to keep their video turned on when they are talking, and are requested not to make any unnecessary movements. If you have to do so, please switch off your video, do the work, come back and switch it on again. Then raise your hand virtually using the app. We have a facility here. You can raise your hand if you have a query, or if you want to answer any of the questions that the speaker is posing on you. Then use the gallery view or the grid format for the ease of viewing maximum speakers at once than the other one. And yeah, finally, I would like to read out the mission and the vision of the Toastmasters Club. So the mission of Toastmasters Club is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience by which members develop good communication and leadership skills. So thank you all. And now I'm going to hand over the stage to the presiding officer, Toastmaster Chesty. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vaishnavi. It's indeed a pleasure to have you all here. And let me first start with wishing you a very good evening to all of you. Purpose. When we talk about purpose, the most important aspect that we see in our day-to-day lives, that somewhere down the line we are so obsessed with outputs that the exact purpose gets diluted in our lives, may it be our professional, personal, or academic lives. Today we assemble here to invigorate our thoughts on how to know the exact purpose of ourselves being in a Toastmasters, so that we all can take mutual benefit out of this. And forward from there, we would also like to understand how to reignite the intent. So without the intent, the purpose cannot be driven. Likewise, without the purpose, the intent is of no use. So we would learn how to reignite these 2 aspects into our lives, so that we become better individuals, we become better Toastmasters. Thank you very much. And I welcome you all, fellow Toastmasters and guests, to today's episode, the episode 4 of the Golden Ticket series, which is about knowing the purpose. Thank you very much. I would now hand over the stage to Toastmaster Animesh. Toastmaster Animesh, the stage is all yours.
Thanks a lot, Toastmaster Chesty. Am I audible? Am I visible?
Yes, Animesh, you're audible and visible. Go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Chishti and Vijayam Club and Area G3 for inviting me for this beautiful initiative that you are having in place. I'm hopeful I'll be able to do the justice and serving the purpose that for which I've been called here. Purpose, right? The word itself is such a big word that philosophers for millennia have been debating about. Why do we exist? What is our purpose? Why are we here? Now, definitely, I'm telling you right off the bat, in whatever time, Toastmaster image cannot do justice to this topic. Because for millennia, if the people, great thinkers like Plato cannot, I could not. But here today, I'm amongst all of you to talk about why identifying or thinking about it is essential. What the word purpose essentially does or contributes into our life. Before we jump into knowing your purpose or what purpose inherently is, we need to first address the elephant in the room. And when I'm saying elephant in the room, I'm drawing your attention to the entire animal kingdom that we naturally are a part of. You see, for last 2 million years, humans have been evolving. And it is arrogant for us to even think that we are the finally formed state. It is essential for us to acknowledge that we are also evolving. But during this evolution process, one thing got skipped. You see, we all inherently were a part of the entire food chain, the entire natural order, somewhere in the middle, right? And somewhere in the middle, the purpose of each and every organism was survival. Somehow, when we made the jump to become from four-limbed animals to two-limbed animals, traveling and converting all our energy to our brains, during that transition, we somehow skipped the process of being a part of the food chain. I guarantee you, many of our forefathers, the purpose of their life was survival, surviving the night against the jaguar attack, surviving a different clan burning their own clan, right? But currently, we do not fall prey to the purpose of existence. You see, when this question is already addressed, comes the bigger question. If our purpose is not survival anymore, then definitely we have a bigger purpose to solve. Fellow Toastmasters and fellow leaders in this room, I would like to urge all of us to think in this direction. Given that we have skipped a couple of evolutionary steps, I would like to make this proclamation that it becomes our moral burden somewhere to improve the life of fellow members of the society, of the nature that we are a part of, or inherently it becomes the purpose for us to evolve and help others evolve. But hence the elephant in the room comes in place. You see, the idea of survival led to an idea of cooperation amongst individuals. Since the idea of survival is no more, the idea of cooperating, empathizing, and working with someone else has taken a backseat. Currently, the human civilizations, or all of us in general, have formed a different food chain altogether, where us humans compete amongst us to find a higher purpose to get above our fellow human beings, disregarding the competition that exists amongst us, and trying so hard to become the top 1% of the human food chain. And these are facts. And the facts being stated that 27 people, the people that in the room, probably one of us, according to probability, will perhaps land in the top 1% of what the food chain might be of human civilization. Now, these are the facts, right? But let us be logical here. The top 1% never stays 1%. And I'm not talking about being the 1%. I'm talking about going back to the thoughts of cooperation and sustenance, not survival in the sense of being, but survival in the sense of our values staying in the system. Survival in the sense of we making a credible mark in the society. And this brings us to the next question. which brings to the topic, knowing your purpose. Now, I would urge everyone in this room to close their eyes and think that they have invited some guests into their house and you are playing the host. And when you're playing the host to a certain number of people, what goes in your head first? Provided that Zomato and Swiggy are not delivering and you are cooking in your house, what goes in your head? First thing, perhaps like all of us would think is, what do we serve to the guests? Is it a lunchtime, dinner time, or knowing that what do we serve? And after we know, let's say I am a biryani fan, then I would say, let's say I am going to serve biryani. I have to start thinking, okay, what is the process in place? I have to cook rice for some time, marinate the chicken, roast the onions, and set up a process in place so that by the time my guests are here, I'm ready to serve. Well, this is not the only way to serve biryani. Apparently, many other ways do exist, but this is the one I'm most comfortable with. And the reason I'm most comfortable with is because I've acquired this knowledge through YouTube, through my mom's cooking or something or the other. Right? Now, retrace the same steps into your life. Imagine you're not inviting someone for dinner, but imagine you are existing in this earth to serve the world or serve some higher purpose. After you have figured this thought out, you would try to establish a process to achieve it. And there might be many ways to achieve it, but you would be most comfortable to the one which you have acquired the most knowledge for. Cool. But here comes again the bigger question that we have not still addressed, knowing your purpose. Now, I was also struggling through this question because for millennia people have not been able to answer this. So I called my dad up. Dad, this is a speech I am supposed to give. What do we mean by purpose? Now, he being, or at least pretending to be a learned guy, said me these things. The son, the point of survival has already gone out of the window, and the thing that exists now can be twofold. All our all our actions can typically be categorized into two aspects. Either we are doing those things for our benefit, or we are doing the things for someone else's benefit. Now, there is no judgment whether you want to become a Toastmaster, you want to become a leader, you want to get that 35 lakh package for your benefit or for someone else's benefit. There is no judgment for that. But the judgment lies within you, which is identifying which aspect gives you the most amount of pleasure. Sometimes the most amount of pleasure can be simply because I want to do this thing because it makes me happy. And sometimes helping others makes you happy. So the first step of knowing your purpose or why you exist or what can you do with the 70 years given to you on this floating planet is identify what gives you happiness, identify what gives you that satisfaction in, let's say, a day-to-day aspect or in a longer sense. Maybe in your first salary, when you buy an iPhone, it might give you an amazing satisfaction, which might last 5 days, which will turn simply into a fear of let's not drop the iPhone. But within a span of 3 to 4 months, you would start realizing perhaps that the action which is just impacting you does not help. So with the 3rd month salary, you buy a sari for your mom, you buy a sherwani for your dad. And the pleasure in their eyes gives you happiness. You see, this time your purpose of your salary, of all your actions for this past 3 months was giving you happiness through doing an action for them. Sometimes in life, if we are lucky enough to climb the ladder of success or the human food chain, we might be in a position of not just impacting our family, but our neighborhood. Sometimes not only our neighborhood, our society. And once some famous Toastmaster that we all know, Toastmaster Joy, while discussing with him said, you know what? We Toastmasters have the capacity to change the world one speech at a time. So we might not be endowed with a lot of financial aspects, a lot of resources, but we are still having the ability to express ourselves and perhaps influencing a room full of 28 people. So the first step is identify what makes you happy. Once you are done with it, comes the next stage of biryani cooking, which is establishing the process. Now, rightly said, you can order Zomato, Swiggy, you can cheat, pass, repeat, whatever. You can cook. You can ask your maid to cook. You might even order the biryani from outside, but make chicken curry inside. Whatever process is comfortable, you would choose the one which you are most comfortable with. However, many points of time, the purpose that we individually identified keeps on changing. Initially, I might be just a coder and I would like to become a manager. Initially, I might just be a BTech graduate, but somewhere something in me would tell, let's try MBA. You see, to acquire new skills or to even get new processes, acquiring knowledge becomes important. So first, identify what makes you happy. And this is not just, okay, I'm happy. No, identify what your true dream is, what you want to be identified as. Once that is in place, identify a process to achieve that bigger goal. And the common answer in all the processes is acquiring knowledge. It can be through books, it can be through an institute, it can be through peers. For example, recently I picked up this skill to perhaps become better at chess, a hobby which I had given long ago. But I thought maybe during this lockdown time, rather than playing PUBG, chess might be a good pattern to go through. And trust me, I started with a rating of 600 and over a period of time, I have become a rating of 1000. Not that it matters, but the point is, even for learning chess, you need a group of peer, perhaps an app, perhaps YouTube videos. These are all different processes, but you see the common link between all of them is gathering knowledge or gathering experience. So you acquire knowledge, learn, read, interact. And here comes the big bomb. Once you have identified whatever you want to do, be it simply like biryani, if you have become good at making biryani, people would definitely walk up to you and ask you, why are you not inviting me for biryani? If your biryani is amazing, let's say. Your intent or your purpose is very pure inherently, a lot of people will get attracted. Thing you see, or fellow advocates. To finish that biryani, you need a family. And that is what the entire concept of Toastmasters brings. You see, many of us in this room have joined because we believe that we have a version or vision of the world in our mind. And this particular version or vision can typically mean that we need fellow supporters, fellow alumnus to work and advocate those thoughts. For example, I don't like people honking on the road. If I give a powerful speech, maybe 30 people in this room will stop honking on the roads. The 30 will lead to 300 to 3,000 to a community of, let's say, 3 lakh people who don't honk on the road because it is idiotic, let's say. Why would you honk on the road? Now, that is my personal feeling. But if you see in mine, this single thought is my vision of a better world. My vision of serving the society. Don't honk. And this is what Toastmasters is. I have a very beautiful identity. If I see people not honking, it gives me happiness. For this, I have established this process. Let's say, talk to people. If I hear someone honking on the road, I stop them. But this is just one person doing it. I can write blogs about it. I can give speeches about it. Many processes do exist, and I can influence that process. But what advantage Toastmasters provides you a platform or forum of like-minded people who are inherently present in this system for self-development and via that process, developing others. If you closely identify, many of your fellow peers must have given amazing speeches, which might be thought-provoking to you. Many of us eventually end up, let's say in this golden ticket series, have ended up knocking a couple of screws in our head, making us question the current order, making us question or reaffirm that, yeah, whatever we are doing is right. or at least providing a course correction, inherently making the world a better place in which is serving their purpose. Which brings me to the next question again. What our world is without a purpose? The answer is again pretty simple. The world without purpose is something that maybe we might not be equipped to answer currently. But I would ask all of you to urge all of you to think in this direction. Where are the situations when you actually search for purpose? Let's say you are an architect, you are building a house. You would never have a room which is not serving any purpose, right? There is never a place which is like, yeah, let's have something. No. Every room in this house is accounted for. When we are taking life-altering decisions, for example, joining a B school, or let's say getting married, these when we form relations, these relations are not driven by the idea, let's have a person in our life. Each and every thought in that direction is questioned and governed by a purpose. Similarly, and most importantly, when we communicate, it is essential for us to identify the purpose of communication. Or, in other words, we never communicate just because we want to, right? And when we do, many of our feedbacks are, yeah, he just said something. If we never have any aspect in our life where we say, yeah, that room is just something, or that person is just something, our communication and leadership skills should not be, yeah, it is just something. And that is essentially what Toastmasters provides us, to convert, yeah, just something into actually something. The purpose of being here is to make that transition. The purpose of being in Toastmasters is to understand, analyze, reanalyze, and relearn. I would perhaps draw an attention to a Greek mythology story from so there was a king called Sisyphus. Many of us might know about him. I would also urge, if you just Google up, who had defied death, defied that. And ultimately he was given an endless torture and turmoil cycle where Sisyphus a big boulder up a hill. And every time he managed to roll down and he had to start all over again. Now, according to the gods, they thought that this monotonous, repetitive task inherently would mean that Sisyphus is trapped forever. Case in point, that is what our day-to-day life cycle is. That is a symbol of human misery. We end up doing each and everything over and over and over again without purpose. But inherently, doing the same thing provided Sisyphus purpose in his life. He was able to survive for eternity, even till today in our discussions and thoughts, because he failed, he did not give up on identifying his purpose of rolling the boulder up the hill. That became his life's purpose. Hence, purpose gives us identity, and our identity gives us a reason to contribute in this society. Now, when this entire thought of talking about this topic came up, Toastmaster Varun had also requested if Toastmaster helps us identifying this purpose. Does it help us to do justice in this world? Is there a better side to it, or is there something that we should know? So in my opinion, the purpose of joining Toastmasters is to come closer to the identification cycle. Because every day we meet here fellow leaders, experienced leaders, or even new leaders with young perspective that helps us identify what can we do, maybe for ourselves or maybe for others. When I see Toastmasters from BJIM, I realize, yeah, good thing thinking about, let's say, myself. Or if I meet someone like Toastmaster, like amazing philanthropist in times of peril and help, it's a chance when we ask, are you here for communication or leadership? Or are you here for your own growth? Or leadership is helping others grow? The second thought was, has this purpose been served in Toastmasters? Inherently, no. Because this purpose cannot be served. Because the purpose of our existence is unity. And as long as we keep evolving, the definition of purpose, the definition of growth will keep on changing. So Toastmasters provides you that opportunity to constantly re-examine what your purpose is. Even if you go back, let's say if I go back to my mom and ask her, Mom, what was your purpose 5 years ago? She was like, yeah, I just hoped you pass BTech without any backlogs. And she moved mountains for that thought. Now that I'm in a good profile, her purpose is, I hope you do well and you eat lunches on time and you give me regular calls. Right? So even for her, the purpose keeps changing, and even for us, it keeps changing. But Toastmasters provides this opportunity to interact with like-minded purpose seekers to reevaluate our thought. The third question being, why do you join Toastmasters when there are other opportunities available for us? Well, I would say don't join Toastmasters. Inherently not as an advocate of Toastmasters, but think about it. Don't join Toastmasters. But before we take this call, ask yourself this question. Do you have any better alternative where you have an access of 97 years worth of collected data across Toastmasters all over the world, cutting regions and cultural boundaries, having people of different language, gender, region, religion, all in a, let's say even in a single meeting, where you get to test the idea whether your purpose is effective for this world or not. Inherently, when you are saying something, is it just something or is it actually something? Do you have any other forum? If yes, then go pursue it. But if not, I would say this is the place to be. I cannot use Toastmasters for my chess hobbies the same way the chess hobbies club cannot help me become a better leader, or a cooking club cannot help me become a better communicator. This inherently becomes the place where you constantly challenge the human food chain, constantly keep challenging the theory of absurdity around you while identifying the purpose. So to recap, the first step to identify is acknowledge that we actually evolved 3 to 4 cycles ago, and the nature is still coming to terms with our evolution. Having said that, since we have skipped the purpose of survival, it is essential for us to question, what does the higher purpose mean? And the closest answer I could come with is identify what makes you happy. And if the answer which you seeked is already making you happy, keep on contributing towards it. So identify the purpose, establish a process, and the process is usually dedicated. The question which I said, right? There are many ways. Then why Toastmasters? Yes, there are many ways. But this is, according to me, the fastest way to gather knowledge to make the purpose biryani. And in that process, read, learn, grow. And inherently, when you have created the most life-altering thought process or identified your own purpose, which is pure in every form, other fellow leaders will get attracted to you. At one point of time on the same thought, my dad ended up saying, there are 2 types of leaderships in this world. And given the corporate culture and the world that we are in, the compassionate leadership has taken a back seat. Currently, each and every conglomerate or an organization must be talking about acquiring targets, capturing the market. You see, that is a very aggressive leadership. that is prevalently present in predators and, let's say, a tiger attacks or tiger captures. The other style of leadership is that which is of a flower, let's say. It attracts other pollinators, it attracts other organisms to create an ecology around it. So if your purpose is great, you eventually end up becoming one of the second type of leaders which attracts other fellow leaders. Rather than capturing the market, you would end up attracting fellow leaders. With that thought, hopefully this helped in providing a direction to identifying the purpose. If not, do call me again, because I will also learn in that direction. With that, over to you, the host. Just you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Animesh. Thank you for that wonderful session. Uh, Before we move to the next session, let me just quote something for you, for all of us here. I have read this somewhere. I'm not very sure. I can't recall where I read it, but it goes something like this: learning without thinking is useless. Learning without thinking is useless. And thinking without learning is dangerous. So we have learned the first aspect of knowing the purpose. Let us take a moment to absorb it and see what intent has got to do with this purpose. So I request Toastmaster Devesh to please take the stage and help us know about how an intent can shape us and make us much more better individuals, better version of ourselves. Toastmaster Devesh, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Chesty. I hope you can hear me and see me, or anyone for that matter can please acknowledge.
Yes, Devesh.
Chesty, you were saying something?
Yeah, Devesh, we can hear you.
Nothing.
All right.
All clear. Go ahead, Devesh.
Thank you. First of all, let me thanks to Animesh for bringing that wonderful knowledge and thorough experience that he has been in his own life. He is one of his spellbinders who binds a lot of words and poems and rhymes in our life, and we learn from it. Session, when we talk about the purposes, it's very important we also know the intent. And how do we do it? So, how many of you are Toastmasters here? Or do we have some guests as well, those who are non-Toastmasters? Show of hand will do, or you can give it the virtual reactions if there is someone who is not a Toastmaster yet in the meeting. Okay, I hope most of us are from Toastmasters. So I have a small analogy that you will receive and you will understand because you are a Toastmasters. So we all have heard about these table topics, aren't we? We know that it's a kind of a jam session where you give away the unknown topic without any preparation and you have to speak on it. Well, this is something which I wanted to join Toastmasters for. I wanted to become someone so good with the impromptu speaking. And that was my purpose of joining Toastmasters. So I thought, why not give it a try? And someone from the audience told me that to become impromptu speaker, you have to take part in impromptu sessions. For us, that is called table topics. And he gave me one tip as well. The tip was, before anybody raises your hand, you have to raise your hand. And I did that. I did good, right? I follow the footprints, I follow the guidelines given by senior Toastmasters. When I got my first topic, I was very nervous. But my purpose was very clear to me that I wanted to become a very great impromptu, or at least somebody who is able to speak on any topic at any given time without any preparation. My purpose was great. I knew it, why I wanted to become impromptu speaker. The problem was I did not introspect myself in the journey. Very much similar to when I started my first table topic. The topic was, what did Britishers do to India? Very simple topic. I started talking about trains, and Britishers stepped the first railway track in India between Mumbai to Thane. For 2 minutes of speech, I totally spoke about it. Now, that is good that I speak something, but this is exactly what we do when we know the purpose, but we do not introspect. And this is why the intent come into the picture. See, the purpose is something that you want to do. It's like a goal for you. You join Toastmasters because you want to become a leader. You join Toastmasters because you want to become a better communicator. Now, your reasons might be different. You may want to become because you want a stage to hold, like that when you go on stage, everybody claps and hands on when you do perform any event. Maybe you want a wonderful stand-up comedian and you want to try in Toastmasters with different set of audience, college student, and etc. You also might have some visions, rightly mentioned by Animesh, that you want to change this world by giving very much inspiring stories, motivational stories, and etc. All this is your purpose. You might have joined Toastmasters just like me, or maybe a mixture of all. But after I joined Toastmasters, I lost that bit because I did not introspect where am I heading. See, we all know that journey is important, but you always look where you are traveling to. And this is why purpose knowing is not sufficient. You should also introspect yourself right across the time if you are doing justice to that purpose, if that is what you wanted. Sometime back, someone told me that when you go to school and you get a very great school, your life becomes an easy. No, it just doesn't. Maybe you can go to IAM and ISBs, but getting admission is one setup. Exactly what you do in Toastmasters. Signing up for Toastmasters is getting an admission to a school or a very great B school. But what beyond it and do justify to your purpose is that how do you study by getting that admission? And this is why even in Toastmasters, joining Toastmaster doesn't serve any purpose. You cannot become an inspirational speaker by joining Toastmasters unless you do not give so many speeches and work in this platform. Why I'm giving Toastmasters examples because it's easy. But do remember that when we used to go to school, no matter how good school or how much greatest of these schools and the educational institute we go to, we might not get the best offers because we did not do that effort that people do. So joining a school is a halfway track. But if you want to become the topper, if you want to become that person who is getting lots of hefty packages, maybe 35 is the right code which Animesh quoted in this life, but that comes when you do the hard work. Joining Toastmasters, knowing the purposes that I want to become a very somebody, a leader who wants to drive this country. But dear, you can only become when you do the efforts. And this is why the last question Animesh asked about, does this Toastmaster do the justice? Maybe, maybe not. He is very right on it. But this is a platform for you to try. The second part, which intent drives is when we do this meetings and all, what are we learning from it? We want to become inspirational speakers? Yes, we will become. The second question is very much important and to be answered. So what about the intent? Anybody have any idea how this intent keeps us intact in our journey of purposes? Okay, let me tell you. So Animesh, the first speaker, asked about, I want to bring this change in this world. And how does it happen? You want to bring the change, you join Toastmasters and everything changes. You are not Thanos, maybe, but that doesn't done by the rap of fingers. It needs something to be done. And for that, you need to constant reminder of your purpose. This is the first step, that joining purpose, knowing the purpose and joining any institution, Toastmasters, any musical institute for learning the guitars and all that is a good thing. Asking why gives you the right intent. Why did you want it to become? I wanted to become impromptu speaker. So I joined Toastmasters. I took a lot of part in table topics. And that gives me that profit because every time I used to go to a Toastmasters meeting, I used to raise my hand. and I was always get this chance. That gave me the part. So this asking why gave me the right intent. But was that just really part of it? No. So there's a second story to it. The purpose is like a goal. You know it and you learn it. But the intent is, why did you want that purpose to be achieved? To tell you second analogy of my speech, I am trying to build a new house for my parents. Now this must be a desire for all of us to give some happiness to our parents. I started doing that. The idea and the purpose for me was to bring a house which has a lot of comfortness for my parents, a systematic way of living, cupboards, proper restrooms attached, etc. In the beginning, we had different house. So the purpose was, I have to bring a comfortable place for my parents. And I did well. I always ask, how can I do it? Why I'm bringing this and all that. But does anybody like simple plain pizzas? No. We need a lot of toppings on it. Similarly, in the flow, I lost that intent. The purpose was to build a house. That is still there. I'm building it. But the intent was to give the comfortness to my parents, which I lost. In this due process, I went with the flow. I did YouTube searches, Google searches, how to bring a great house, how to find so much decorations. And I added a lot of seasoning on top of my pizza, which was very plain in the beginning. The seasoning was so much that it completely changed the taste of it. Now, I did a lot of decorative items on it. For example, the stuffs which looks great but does not comes with the ease of access. Now, that is something which the intent got wrong. Similarly, we wanted to become a great speaker, let's say. Or let me ask you this question. How many of you joined to become a leader? Raise of hand or any reaction? Okay. So maybe you wanted to join this Toastmaster to become a great speaker, maybe a leader. I built that house with the intent where I wanted it to be comfortable for my parents. But with these decorations, this went somewhere else. This is what happens when we flow with the flow. And I flew with the flow. That means I forget what was my intent. That should not happen. How we can stop it? There is only one way to do it. Always ask why you wanted to do it. I ask many times that, why am I bringing this house? Similarly, in our life, when we know we want to become impromptu speaker, why do you want to become impromptu speaker? Because I have to face a lot of clients in my job profile where I had to take a lot of questions. So that is my intent over there, to become a better impromptu speaker. For someone who wants to bring change in this world, must know that how he wants to become this change in this world, not by becoming a very good inspirational speaker and not delivering speeches on the YouTube, but how he wants to bring the change. The purpose is achieved. You maybe learn from after 5 years of Toastmasters or any other platform which helps you to become an inspirational speaker. But when you sign out of that, or maybe when you are still in the pursuit of that becoming inspirational speaker, are you doing for what you joined at Toastmasters or any other platform? Have you done anything to bring those changes in this world? My mentor and Toastmaster Animesh, who is present in this meeting, says that he joined Toastmasters because he loved one speaker who speaks about asking the right questions. So maybe somebody of you wanted to join Toastmasters to ask that question to people, for the people, those who can't ask. And that's a sign of a leader. Similarly, all of us have some hidden intent behind our purposes. We want to become better speaker, maybe to raise the voice for people, those who cannot raise. We want to become better leader because we want to lead our country into a different place, or our organization, or our fellow people, those who we love and we want to work with. Similarly, some people want to become in Toastmasters because they want to sell their product, but was the ultimately intent to become better in their perfect or daily life. So that is where your intent is the ultimate outcome of your training, of your exercise of those years. See, when we joined any school, whether we become a topper or not, it's something depends on our hard work. But what do we do after become that topper is the intent. So if you join any Toastmasters or let's say any communication part or let's say any musical instrument learning platform, your intent is to please the people by playing the guitar. Your purpose may be to sing in any, play guitar and sing in any Bollywood song or anything else. But remember, always the intent is pure because you want to spread happiness among people, perhaps by playing your music records. Maybe you want to have that fan following, just like the Ashiki 2 kind of singer. But all this intent is hidden behind your purposes. Your purpose is to become a singer. But what the intent is, why do you want to sing? Is to spread happiness, if you want to get that fame, or is what to please the people? My intent for bringing that house for my parents was to bring simplicity and comfortness in their life by adding a lot of decorative things, making that looking very beautiful and adding this and then adding that seasoning on top of pizza made it complicated for them. The purpose was there, it is still there. I'm bringing that house, but the intent has changed. The intent was initially to help my parents to live a better life. But maybe in the process of glorifying the home and making it more architectural, beautiful, I lost that essence. And this is why the intent is very much important. Whether you are giving a table topic speech or you are bringing a home, if you went with the flow, you will forget what you have spoken or what you were doing. This is why asking questions to yourself, why, every time when you feel lost is important. This is what the intent has to do. To summarize what I have to speak about, there are two things that justifies the intent. The first, you always remember, joining any institutional is just like getting admission into a school or a grade B school. You will get it, the purpose is solved. You become an MBA grad. I mean, somehow when you will get into graduation school or anything, you will complete graduation. At least most of us will do. But that was your purpose, to become a graduate, not a degree holder. And once you know the graduate is somebody who does help some organizations to succeed. For example, all of you wonderful people studying in VGIM, when you will pass out, you want to help organizations, right? That's why you are studying. You want to look those financial seats and you have some solutions. You, when you step out, you just don't want to say that I did MBA because I wanted a job. You did MBA because you wanted to become a better manager, to find out people from those troubles that they are, and that is your intent. So ask always why you joined that. Do not go in the flow. Always ask yourself, introspect your purpose again and again. That will keep you remind that you joined because of some idea behind it. And once you get out of those colleges, how do you help those organizations, those are in trouble, or how do you help your fellow people? It's something that intent will address. If you have the intent proper, you will do justice by helping people or asking the right question in terms of becoming a better speaker or getting them out of the challenges by becoming a better leader. But all this will only happen when your intent is always clear. The one and last questions after knowing the purpose is just intent. Is that we all need to grow? Yes. If that is a question, but it cannot be answered in one way. If I do want to grow my intent to help more people, to help more uh, audiences, or to become more famous when I am playing that guitar song, or if I'm passing out from this organization, this is what Animes just told in his last answers, that the process of any purpose is always give you your purpose will change. And so your intent might fluctuate here and there. But do remember, your intent will only grow. So I wanted to become a better impromptu speaker. I did participate in table topic, one purpose solved. I become, in my opinion, as a better impromptu speaker. But after that, what was my intent? To represent myself differently with different clients in my organization. And I was able to do that. But there, my purpose a little bit changed. Then I wanted to please them, getting more customers for my organization. And this is how the intent will only grow. But this is still in line. I am still trying to become a better impromptu speaker. So the purpose is always there, but you have to ask yourself. Don't go with the flow. Always ask yourself why you joined it. And once you joined it, do remember what you wanted to achieve afterwards. You wanted to help people. You wanted to ask people right questions on behalf of them, especially for those who cannot ask. You wanted to help organization by stepping out of this great institute. You will do that. For that, intent is very important. Thank you. Chisti, over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Devesh. It's indeed wonderful to know what intent does to an individual. So, if I have to sum it up, what you have said, the way I perceived it was that if buying a car is a purpose, traveling is a purpose, the intent has to be the fuel that drives the vehicle or that drives you. Wonderfully said. Thank you very much for sparing your time. And for all our members here, if I have to ask you this, please go back into the history books to see all the successful names, right from Don Quixote to Dr. Abdul Kalam Azad. Every successful individual or every wonderful leader had two most important things in common. I would not say most of the leaders. It's all of these leaders had these two things in common. First one is that they had a very clear purpose. And second, they had a very strong intent. Run through any book that you would want to. You would find these two common traits in all these wonderful leaders. On that note, since we're running short of time, I would request the members, if you have any questions, please reach out to Varun. He will help you connect to Dr. Toastmaster Animation, Toastmaster Devesh. We'll get solutions for your questions. And before I give the stage to Sa for closure of the meeting, I would request the Zoom master to take a snapshot of the meeting. Picture time. Zoom master. Zoom master, once you are done with the picture, please let me know.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you.
Let me take this opportunity to thank our esteemed Toastmasters, Toastmaster Animation, Toastmaster Devesh, both of you, to spare your Sunday evening for us and help us understand what is the importance of having a purpose and why is intent important. I submit my sincere thanks from on the behalf of Area G3 and VGIM Club to both of you. And we would be looking forward to learn more and more from you, wonderful Toastmasters, in future as well. Thank you very much. I now hand over the stage to Toastmaster Vaishnavi for closure of the meeting.
Thank you, Chisti and Vijay.
Thank you, Chisti. So Animesh and Devesh, I have to say it was a very, very informative, illuminating, and of course an enlightening talk which you guys shared with all of us. I had a very good takeaways from this meeting, so as everybody in this meeting will definitely have great takeaways, and now I got to know the purpose and intent in a very clear terms. So thanks to both of you for that. So I hope all of you enjoyed this meeting, this learning session, this golden ticket series of knowing the purpose was really a successful thing which all of us have, and of course there's a lot of information in it. So but it's time for us to close the meeting. So bye bye everybody, thank you all, the meeting is adjourned.
Good night, everyone.